Hello and welcome everyone to today's WorkSafe Tasmania month webinar, When Going to Work Improves Your Health, How Teams Can Boost Wellbeing and Performance. I'm Stephanie from WorkSafe Tasmania. WorkSafe Tasmania month is a long-running initiative funded by the WorkCover Tasmania board. Before we start, please take, sorry, I'll go back. Oh, I didn't include the slide. To interact with today's webinar, please use the questions window on your control panel to type and submit your questions. Please also take a moment to read the disclaimer about information received today. Today's webinar is also being recorded. I would now like to introduce your presenters from Emotionally Fit Humans, Lauren Taylor and Marina Corbett. Lauren and Marina are human behaviour specialists with over 50 years combined experience coaching and leading humans. They are accredited leadership coaches, having studied at the International Coaching Institute, and both are credited in the Emotional Fitness Formula and Human Behaviour Profiling. Recognised for their passion and ability to transform team and culture performance, Lauren and Marina partnered to co-found Emotionally Fit Humans. Together, they support leaders and teams to transform workplace culture through building relationships of fulfilment, focus, and fun in work and life. Their approach is grounded in mental and emotional wellness through the power of quality relationships, the one we have with ourselves, our families, communities, and colleagues. Welcome, Lauren and Marina.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, everyone, for attending today.
Thanks, Stephanie.
I'm going to kick off today's presentation on Can Going to Work Improve Your Health? And it's a great question to ask, right? And it's one that Lauren and I, when we joined forces to work together on this emotional health, as Stephanie gave us a beautiful introduction, it was a question we asked ourselves, that there is so many people going to work that aren't loving what they're doing, not enjoying what they're doing, going to burnout, suffering mental health injuries, psychological injuries. Can going to work actually improve our health? Why are we doing this? Are we even enjoying this? Why do we come to work? So we set on a journey to research this and study this, and I'm going to share with you a bit later on my own personal journey of going through a mental health injury at work. But I want to just kick off with, so can going to work improve your health? And to do that, I would love you to start with just what it says on the screen is, can you recall a time you felt good at work? Can you recall a time you felt good at work? And just sit with that, think about that. And our slides are just going a little bit everywhere at the moment, but sit with that. I'm sure there's a time you felt good at work. Think about what created that. Why did you feel good at work? What was happening for you? Who were you with? How did it feel? And just sit in that for a moment. Going to work made me feel good when, and this is what was happening for me. And then I want you to see the contrast of a time we went to work and we didn't feel so good. Something was happening at work and it just didn't feel good. Maybe something changed, something shifted. What is that contrast? What was happening for you? And we'll just wait to see if we can get to the next slide, which will give you that question as well. My co-pilot.
It is jumping everywhere. Apologies.
It's a little sensitive. All right. So hopefully what you're left with there is the contrast of, there are times we're going to go to work and we feel great. And then there are times when we're going to go and we don't feel so good. But the importance for us as humans is bringing awareness to that. What is happening for me in this moment? What is happening where I feel good, and what is happening when I don't feel so good? And what I want to say is neither a good, bad, right or wrong, right? They're all emotions that we feel as humans. The importance is understanding them, understanding what's driving that for us. So typically what you will find, now you've got those two examples or that contrast in your mind, typically what you might notice is that there's something common in both. Both situations will involve growth. Both situations will involve change. Something different shifted, something happened. Maybe we were going through change at work. How much change happens at work, right? I was once a change manager. I know how much change happens in the workplace. But something shifts, something changes. And as we know as humans, we all need growth to be motivated in life, to feel good in life. So that moment where you're feeling good at work was probably when you've gone through something. You've already gone through the change and you're kind of like, yes, I feel accomplished. I did it. I achieved it. I can't believe this was once a dream and now I'm doing this thing. I got the role, whatever it might be. But there's something there in that involved growth or change or difference. And the same thing happens on the other side of the spectrum, right? On the other contrast is when it doesn't feel good. And sometimes it doesn't feel good when we're going through that process. I've got nerves, I feel scared, I'm fearful. What if I can't do it? What if things go wrong? What if this thing doesn't work out for me? I'm going to embarrass myself. So what you'll see now on the screen is the precursor to growth is uncertainty. So in uncertainty, we can't avoid it. But a lot of us try to scoot around it because it doesn't feel good. Uncertainty sometimes feels fearful. It feels like, but I need to know the answers. I have to control this thing. I've got no control because it's all uncertain. And we feel that at work when maybe we're moving teams, moving jobs, someone moved where the coffee is, or in your home, where I am now, in my home, if someone moves something in the pantry, who moved it? There's some uncertainty here. Where's my coffee? Where's my tea? So all uncertainty brings this, feeling of fear, this feeling of this doesn't feel good. But when we go through it, for us as humans, that's when we start to feel growth. So becoming in emotional fitness, which is what Lauren and I love to teach in workplaces, becoming emotionally fit is all about how we navigate uncertainty. And with that, I'm going to hand to Lauren.
Thanks, Marina. And it is about our ability to handle uncertainty. I'm just trying to drive this next slide. It's just there we go. So what we might find is that you might feel that you are stuck. It might be showing up that you might be looking out, feeling like you're on an island or isolated. That this is only me that feels like this, that I'm feeling not good enough in my role. No one else feels this. It might be showing up as that I don't know where to reach out for support. You might be scared. You might be showing up as like, I cannot actually step into who I thought I would be. And it might you might be feeling I've got to jump off this island and get to somewhere else. And so uncertainty can show up emotionally in many different ways. Imposter syndrome. It might be not knowing how to overcome one small challenge, and so you feel that you're not good enough in that particular role that you're in. You might feel that you're not supported in your team in your workplace. You might not have a colleague who is your buddy that you can go to and share how you are emotionally feeling. And so we feel like we are on an island and that we are uncertain at many different stages throughout our work life and through our career. So often we're standing there going, where else can I be other than where I currently am? So I'll just try and get to that next slide. So my sound is, I'll just try and fix my sound. Just is it still vibrating there, Stephanie? Okay.
Yes.
I might just get Marina to have I'll just drive the next slide. I've lost the panel.
I'm happy to I'll jump in from here so Lauren
Yeah.
can fix what's happening there, no problem. So this is really around when we're standing in uncertainty, like I was mentioning before, it can feel lonely. It can feel really lonely, like we're standing on that island and we're looking around to think, can I ask someone for help? Do I need help? Am I meant to do this on my own? Am I meant to be capable? And Stephanie, I don't know if you can help me with moving the slides while Lauren's fixing her sound. That would be awesome if you could do that for me. Because what happens next to us is all of those feelings and emotions will come up. There's these bubbles, you know, that we're showing here on the screen. Is sometimes there's the anchor where we start to feel stuck. Like, I'm just going to stay stuck on Uncertainty Island because I can't see a way through it. Maybe there's some sharks or people around us, and that's where imposter syndrome can come in as well. You know, the pirate might be coming to capture us or keep us there, or the fear that can evoke in us, the storms that come through uncertainty, and even just thinking, can I even do this? So what I want to acknowledge is when we go through uncertainty, while it may not feel good, it doesn't mean it's wrong. And uncertainty is a part of building emotional fitness. It's what gets us through to growth. So we can't go around it, we have to go through it. But what we want to share with you is, how do we navigate uncertainty when we feel it? Because we're not going to stop it. And as humans, because we need to grow, growing is a part of what motivates us at work. When we're not growing, we feel stuck. So the importance is, let's not avoid uncertainty. Let's learn the skills to navigate it, which is emotional fitness. How do we navigate the emotions that come up with uncertainty that can keep us stuck in life? And if we could move to the next one, Stephanie, and we'll see if Lauren's ready to jump in.
Thanks, Marina. I give me a okay if that's working correctly. It's still, I'll swap to my headphones. That's okay. You keep going, Marina.
I'll keep going. I love the uncertainty of all of this, and Lauren and I demonstrating how we're navigating uncertainty of, can we get this microphone working? But, you know, when we're standing in that uncertainty, it's always being able to have that vision. How do I get from here over to that beautiful island where there's peace and calm and the sun's now shining? And look at that deck chair. There's a deck chair there waiting for me to lay on. And that's the most important thing as humans, that while we have this feeling, that we don't get caught up in the feeling of uncertainty, but we have a vision. We have a vision for the future. And think of you in teams and in workplaces today. What is that vision? What is that future that you've created? And have that clear and have it standing there in front of your team, articulated clearly that everyone can get on board. So as we navigate uncertainty together and all of the emotions to get to there, that we still have this vision and we're all heading in the same direction together. Do you want to give it a go, Lauren? See if that's working?
Can you hear me through that?
We can still hear you, but it's still a little shaky.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder what that is. I don't know what's happening there. Considering it didn't work in practice mode, I don't know why. That's frustrating.
I know. Do you want to jump to the next one, Stephanie? Perfect. Go through this, Lauren, because it's not too bad, but if you want to share this, and then I'll jump into the case study.
Okay, so what happens, as Marina said, is that quite often we're standing there looking at going, where else can I be? How can life be better? How can my role feel better? And we're looking for a lifeboat to come along, a rescue boat, and maybe a team around us to support us. And that we're often going, how can someone else save me from this? When realistically, what we are actually after is a lifebuoy as well. It could be a team around us, or it could be us rescuing ourselves from the way that we're feeling emotionally. So we can, in workplaces, it might be your whole team around you. It might be you that you need to start relying on more and digging deep within yourself to learn about who you are as a human to serve the role that you're doing really well, that you know underneath, and learning about yourself as to how am I capable of doing this role? What else can I be doing to be more effective, and so that this workplace is where I'm meant to be, and to know that I am capable of doing all the things that I originally signed up for, was originally passionate about, and maybe it's just a period of time that I'm going through that might have changed the way I'm feeling about that particular role or about that particular workplace. So we're looking for an external thing to come in and rescue us, when really it's us, and delving deep within us, that it's us that we learn to rely on. And that's what becoming an emotionally fit human and an emotionally fit team is all about. So I might get you to head to the next slide there. So the quality of our lives is determined by the quality of the relationship we have with ourselves. And I know, Marina, this is where you are going to take off from here.
Thank you. And if you want, you can maybe try and adjust the sound a little while I talk through this next bit, because it's still a little shaky. So I love this quote. You may have heard it before. I've seen it written, and I've read it from Esther Perel, who's a relationship coach, but you'll see it written in many versions from our own coach and mentor, Joe Pane, who developed the emotional fitness formula. You might hear it from Tony Robbins. You might hear it from lots of different people around the quality of our lives is determined by the quality of the relationship with ourselves. And it is so, I just want you to even just sit in that for a moment, write it down, take a screenshot, however you want to do it. You may have heard it before. But sometimes we quickly go past these things without asking, what does that actually mean? What is the relationship we have with ourselves, and who are we? I'll just get you to mute, Lauren, if that's okay. So I'm really fortunate that, and this might sound a bit weird that I've said I'm really fortunate, but I want to share a personal case study with you, if that's okay now, because I think it actually represents the relationship we have with ourselves in when we're got a clean, I'll call it a clean perspective, or an emotionally fit relationship with uncertainty. We can experience some extraordinary highs as a human. So they're like I'm very passionate about human behavior and the human, so I get a bit excited about it. But when I see what humans can achieve in life, think of think of the great sports stars or Olympians or musicians or whatever it is that you admire in life. Think about the people who are awesome at it. Maybe you are. Maybe you have a talent that you're just so good at it, and people sit back in admiration of how do you do that? That is tapping into the human and having a go, and I'm sure there was uncertainty, on your way to get to there. But I am really fortunate in the workplace that I have led teams all across Australia, large teams. I had a team of 150 people who we achieved international recognition in customer service and culture. There was a lot of uncertainty on that voyage to get to that type of recognition, but it was amazing. Like I said before, we had a vision, even though there was a lot of uncertainty getting there. Lo and behold, not long after, things changed for me, things shifted. I went into a different team, and unfortunately, I experienced a mental health injury at work. So I wanted to just share a little bit about this story, because even the brightest and the most vibrant and energetic people, the most positive people, can succumb to these type of things if we don't manage the relationship that we have with ourselves. Now, I'm not saying and excusing any external things that can be going on, but what I've done in my time of healing from that is recognize how I could have taken better care of myself so that I could go to work and improve my health. On the weekend, if any of you have checked us out on any socials, I launched a book for the love of leadership. And in this book, I share my own personal experience of leading people and leading teams, but I also share more about that personal journey of going from the high to the low So if you are interested, it is there on Amazon. I'm not going to go deep into that story today, but I know some people, particularly in these forums, might be interested in it. So it's there for you, just so you know. But really what I wanted to share is that contrast of the high and the contrast of the low, and what happened. And when if I just sit in a moment, like I asked you at the start, a time where you felt great at work, if I sit in that for a moment for myself, it was when I felt like my skills were being used, my strengths were being used, what I was passionate about. I was passionate about people. And I had this team of 100, around 150, it might have even been more at some points, that were just a little, disjointed, not working together, weren't working in harmony. Some didn't even know each other. They sat next to each other and didn't even know each other. And one of my skills and talents was how to bring people together. I don't always know the work, but I do know how to get people working together. And so that's when I was feeling good at work. I felt healthy at work. I felt alive at work because my passion and talent was being used. But also if I reflect, so that's at the workplace. Also, if I reflect in my personal life, I was raising 3 children. I was, president of the school council where they went to school, which made me feel good too, because I was contributing to our community. I was running, I was training for a marathon. So there was a lot of things happening in my personal life that made me feel alive. But also at work, there was a lot going on in the workplace where I was able to use my strengths, my talents, and things I loved. Now, I have to be careful in saying that there's also things in your work that you don't enjoy, right? So it's not about avoiding the things we don't like to feel good. But when we've got enough of, those things that you do at work, you'll probably feel it, where it just gives you energy. You walk away from work of a day and you think, oh, I feel good. Today was a good day. Today was a great day. And typically what you'll find in those days where you walk away like that is that you've tapped in to something, one of your strengths, what Lauren and I would call your captain energies, your superpower. You've been able to exercise and use your superpower at work that day. Sometimes we go to work and we come home and we're like, oh my gosh, I am so exhausted. Like that was just a day of, I never want to do that again. I'm just going to bed. I'm getting on the couch, having a glass of wine, whatever it might be for you. That's it, done. And sometimes what we'll find on those days is we've been tapping into things maybe we're not so good at. So the key here is, in most of the time at work when I was able to use my strengths, and I had a leader at the time who could see that. He was just so amazing to say, Marina, I can't do the things that you do, but go and do them because there's something you're doing that I'd go for it. And he gave me boundaries. He gave me bigger boundaries to work within. But also I said to him, you do stuff I don't know how to do. And the things that you're great at are my weaknesses. And so together as a team, him as my leader and me delivering this, big goal of being leaders in customer service, together we used each other. We tapped in to each other's strengths. And this is really important when we're thinking about the relationship we have with ourselves, is also the relationship we have with our team and how we can tap into each other's strengths. Now, look, 12, I shared with you, we got to this to spoil the story, get you to the end of the story. We did. We became international leaders in service. And the key in that was me not only tapping into my own strengths, but how in this 150 people can we dig up their gems? What are those skills that have been laying dormant all this time? How can we get everyone working on work, allocating work, delegating work, that they know that they're using their passion, they're using their talent. So they're coming into work feeling like, oh, I'm growing, I'm motivated, I feel good. Now, again, it doesn't happen all the time. There were times where I had to give them work that they didn't love so much. But it's about us as leaders and as teams in acknowledging that in each other and how we can make that work. Now, 12 months later, unfortunately, that came crashing down for me. Like we were talking about before, standing on that island, I moved teams, I moved into a completely different level of skill, level of connection in the team. Everything had just shifted for me. Same company, different team, right? Like, how does that happen? And I'd come from a team where I'd built the reputation of being the queen of culture. And what was standing out now, and the shame I felt, is how does the queen of culture go from here down to not even being able to look after her own well-being. I was going to work not feeling good. I was going to work crying. I just didn't want to be there. Like, how does this happen? I thought I had found the formula, you know? How did this shift? What happened? It must be me. And this is very common when we do go through, it doesn't always have to be a mental health injury as such, but when we feel our well-being, that energy is being taken away from us. We're not sure, maybe we forgot who we are. Maybe we forgot our skills and talents. Maybe we're no longer using them anymore. So maybe me shifting teams, we weren't recognizing, I wasn't recognizing maybe the skill and talent that I had to offer, or maybe there was no need for it in that team. The point being is I had lost, and I'm not going to say the word balance because I don't think there ever is a clear balance. I'm going to use the word harmony, that I had lost the harmony between performance and well-being. That I was just 100% performance. Let's get here. Let's do this. And what I was forgetting was me. I was forgetting me in the equation. And so Lauren and I have researched and questioned, and even using my own experience, and I know Lauren has a similar type of experience in her background, is so how do we get to a point? There's so much of this happening. There is so much burnout happening in our workplaces, and mental health problems or well-being issues. And I say this with deep respect when I talk about mental health. I'm not talking about mental health illness that requires the help and love and support of GPs and some really good medical people around you. I'm talking about, for me, when I had a real big knock. I had a real big knock to my mental health and my well-being that had me very low, and it was hard to come out of. Now, hopefully you can see today that I am out of that. I am back to my vibrant, healthy self, and I have spent the last 18 months going through a process of understanding it and healing it. And together, Lauren and I would love to share with you next three of the pillars that now I look back and think, wow, if I had these pillars, I probably would have stayed in harmony with performance and well-being, and going to work could have continued to improve my health, continued to have me grow. So I'm going to pass back to Lauren. We'll see if give her a sound check, see if her sound is in check. Otherwise, I'll continue. But we want to share with you a couple of takeaways now that we've given you some context to emotional fitness. What is it? Being aware of uncertainty and that feeling of it, and not to fear it, that we need to go through uncertainty. Seeing the contrast of someone who was high performing for 25 years in leadership, who can then have her well-being knocked when she lost that harmony between looking after herself, not forgetting to love yourself in the process of getting high performance. And so now we're going to take all that and share with you as a takeaway the three pillars that we know and have tried and tested that can help you and your team and your workplace come to work and improve your health. I'll pass to you, Lauren. Sound check.
Let's cross fingers that it's working properly. There's not much more I can do. I've tried different formats, so I'm glad to hear you can hear me now. So, Stephanie, I'll get you to go to the next slide. Thank you for the audience. And it is, as there are many, many stories so similar that we come across all the time in the work that we do with companies and businesses and leaders themselves. When we go to companies, and I've been in a leadership role myself for 15 years, I was feeling a similar experience to Marina. Mine was a misalignment of values, what I was studying in leadership and then what was happening on the ground were two different things. And so when we meet with business owners, CEOs, general managers of companies, they want results. They want to see productivity and performance improve. They want to see engagement. So they are after results, which are on the outside of our model of fuel for performance model. Now, what is forgotten is that within the teams and within the companies, there is the me, the individual. As Marina has shared her story, I've shared a small snippet of mine. There is the we, lots of different departments and divisions, so smaller teams within the company. and there's the collective us. And these breakdowns are often forgotten about when the companies are looking for results. What part of the cogs need to be worked upon and what do we need to delve into to increase results? And it's not like we're going to wring a face washer out and get the most out of our people. That is exhausting, that is tiring, and we are human after all. So we do not want to see companies that are wringing the most out of their people, where you are exhausted at work, where you are not thriving, where you are feeling worn out, and that it is a daily slog. So we have 3 pillars that we focus on: being fulfilled, having focus, and fun, which is your workplace culture. If you are turning up to a culture that is fun, where people feel supported and valued and appreciated for the individual that they are, so the me within the team and the team within the collective whole. What the missing piece we find is, if I could ask you to go to the next slide, Stephanie, is the missing piece at the center of our model is relationships. It all comes down, Marina, we've shared a little bit about the relationship that we have with ourselves first. Developing emotional fitness, developing our emotional health, how we can navigate life's uncertainties, most humans, we are wired for connection, and most humans go through between 3 and 7 major life-changing events. So it is normal that within yourself, within your team, and within your company, people that sit at the heart of your work, the people are the foundation of your workplace, matter the most. And so being able to navigate these uncertainties is key. So what are we giving you? How does going to work improve your health? What are we giving you as a takeaway today? So if I could get you to go to the next slide, Stephanie, thank you.
Lauren, I will add into that piece on relationships, because the relationship piece for Lauren and I, when we first started to see and work with different companies and businesses, and hopefully you're sitting there as well thinking, yes, the relationships. So when we feel that we haven't got that harmony between performance and well-being, and there's that uncertainty, how much of that uncertainty falls down to relationships? I don't know how. If you could just go back one slide, Stephanie, just so I can stay on there. Thank you for doing that for us too. I appreciate it. But when we think about in the middle there, me is the fulfillment, we is the focus, and us is the fun. And sitting in the middle of balancing all of that, harmonizing with all of that, fulfillment, focus, and fun is relationships, as Lauren was saying. What we found when we were navigating that, and as I was saying, if you feel any of that uncertainty or tension, it probably comes down to the relationship that you have with someone in your team. When I was in that high performance place, remember I said, my boss said to me, my leader said to me, Marina, you've got this thing going on. Like, I'm just going to let you do it. There's this, I can see your talent. I can see your passion. I don't have that. Go and do it. But the same, I was able to say to him, I don't know when that stuff you do, I have no idea what you're doing. I actually feel a little bit silly that I don't know what you know, like you're really smart, or I don't feel like I have that. But we could sit and have that really vulnerable conversation with each other, because we're not meant to know everything. And something I love to tell people too is most people at work go around, like we think they know everything. How come that person knows everything, or they're really good at that? And this is where we start to feel down on ourselves. But I'm going to tell you a little secret. No one knows what they're doing. Particularly in uncertainty, no one knows what they're doing. We all have to go through uncertainty to work it out, right? Like no one was born with, oh, this is how you do that spreadsheet, or this is how you write that policy, or this is how you talk to that person. No one knows. We're all working it out. So if that's something that weighs on you at work, how come everyone knows this stuff and I don't? There was a point they didn't, and they're probably still working it out. It just looks like they know everything. So I can't stress enough in those relationships, like that one I shared, where we can say, leader, team member, I'm not really good at this, but I can see you are. And I would love to tap into that. Or can you teach me that? Or when we do this in the team, could we use you? Like, could you be the person that does that? Do you know that person is going to feel so good? How do you feel when someone acknowledges that passion or talent that you have and says, wow, can you teach me that? We need to do more of this in workplaces, more of acknowledging the passion and the talent that people have in our team. Otherwise, it's sitting there dormant. It's laying there dormant and we're not using it. Like when I went into that large team, 150 people doing the best they could, but so frustrated that they weren't being asked to use their skills and talents. You know, to say, leader, but we could do this and we could do that. Oh, no, we're busy. We've got to get these results. We've got to get these results. Until someone could come in and say, no, tell me. Tell me your ideas. Tell me your passion. Tell me your talents. Let's build relationships. Let's get to know everyone. Because when we get to know each other, we get to know those skills, those talents. Our businesses can wake up wellness by tapping into what motivates other people, and that is their talent and that is their passion. Why would we leave that sitting there dormant? It is hurting people. When people can't come to work, and when you'll hear this all the time, I just want to come and be myself, my authentic self. What is that even? Like, what is that authentic self? The authentic self is when we're tapping into those things, those talents, those skills that make us feel good. And when you feel good, you'll be like, that's one of my passions. That's one of my talents. I feel like I belong. I feel like I'm contributing. And that's the importance of relationships. There's this beautiful study that Lauren and I read. It comes from Robert Waldinger. It's the longest research. Some of you might be familiar with it. It's the longest research on human behavior or adult development come out of Harvard, and it's still going. Robert Waldinger didn't start it because it's like years and years it's been going, 80 years or something it's been going, but he's taken it over at Harvard. And he's recently written a book as well called The Good Life, where he uses some of that. But I recently was privileged to listen to him speak on it. And what he describes in life, you know, there's also something that's going around is the pandemic of loneliness. How many people are lonely? How many people are coming into your workplace lonely, your team lonely, your community's lonely? Because we're not building relationships. We're lacking this connection. And he describes it beautifully as the people, the healthiest, those with the greatest well-being, and those that are living the longest, we think might be money, houses, cars, status, power, achievements. The people who are the most well and living the longest, having the healthiest life, are those with the warmest relationships. And I love the way he says that, the warmest relationships. You can picture that, right? Think of the people around you where you just feel warm in their presence. You feel like you're being nurtured and you feel like your health is increasing just by being around them. So who are we hanging around where we're having those warm relationships? So take that too as a gem. Hopefully you're taking lots from listening to us today, but take that too as a gem to go out and say in your team and look around your colleagues, whether it's your direct team or not, where might that tension be and how much can we improve our health at work by improving the quality of our relationships?
One thing that I'm taking from that, Marina, is, and I know our mentor Joe Pane would often talk about being a giver of significance. So where are you searching for opportunities to actually give significance to those people around you, to build on that warm relationship of making them matter, meeting people where they are at, so that they can feel like they're valued and know that they matter in life. So it's not about the significance that you receive as a leader. It is more about giving significance to the people around you. And I know that in the models that we use, it's not about a leader being separate from their team. It's being a part of their team and working within the team. So if we could go to the next slide.
sound issues back again, Lauren. So if there's something you changed, do you want to?
I haven't changed a
Look
thing,
at that.
anything. Is it back now? Can you hear that still? It's still there.
Let me jump in while, because there might be something. I know it's like a bit of that uncertainty, but that's what we're here to do today, is demonstrate our muscle around dealing with uncertainty. And as a team, I'll jump in and start this slide for you, Lauren. But in closing, this is one of another takeaway. We were like, what else can we give them? We've given them the pillars. We've given you building the relationship with uncertainty with yourself and with your team. And how do we work in harmony with performance and well-being? The key being relationships. But this is something we would love to give you to take away as well. It's a little equation. I don't know if you're like me, but I'm a very visual person. I love to write down on Post-it notes and stick them around my screen to remind me. But I think this is an equation that you can take away today. Pop it on your Post-it note, or you might need a piece of paper or your screensaver, however you do it. But we wanted to give you this as a formula that you can take away that I think really summarizes for us how we can improve our health by coming to work, how we can have harmony in performance and well-being, how we can still get results for the business we work for and build those relationships with the people that we work with. So when we come to work, it feels good. We have more instances of feeling good. And when it doesn't feel so good, we've got great relationships around us to support us through that. So the equation is written, and you can call it the fulfillment formula. You'll remember that was one of our pillars, the fulfillment formula. The P plus T times A plus F is going to give you fulfillment. So we're just going to take the next few minutes before we get to any questions after today. We want to take the next few minutes just to talk through what this is. What is this fulfillment formula? And the first one being passion. And you would have heard me say that a bit throughout today's conversation, today's discussion, is what are you passionate about? And it is so important to know that. I said before, I love talking about humans. I'm a people watcher. I'm that person that just loves to sit in a park on her own and just observe and watch interactions and relationships with families, in workplaces, whatever it might be. I know Lauren's the same. It's digging into that passion. What is it you're passionate about? Sometimes, I mean, you will, depending on where you work, you will find something at work you're passionate about. But sometimes the biggest passion doesn't actually sit in your workplace. But by making time outside of work to exercise that passion will make you feel better at work, because you're still a human, right? You're a human in the hobbies you do outside of work, and you're the same human when you roll up to work. So as long as that passion of yours is being tapped into, that is the most important thing. So in this formula, you can think of it like ingredients if we were cooking a cake. So we might say we're just going to take a cup of passion and we're going to tip that in to making the cake, putting these ingredients together. And then we're going to take a cup of talent. T is for talent. So there's a difference between passion and talent. So with talent is something that it's being good. So we can be passionate, but if we're not actually good at doing the thing. So for me, I think about, I've always wanted to play a musical instrument. And like I watch my husband do it. I have friends that do it, maybe even singing. Like there's something around music I love. I'm passionate about it. But to pick up an instrument or a guitar, say, I don't have the talent. It doesn't sound so beautiful when Marina picks up the guitar, but I'm passionate about music. I don't have the talent to play the guitar. Now, that's just an example, but think about it in the workplace. We might be passionate about something, but maybe we don't have the talent. So it's really important to see the difference, and that you can build talent. You can build the skill towards something you're passionate about. So talent is separate to the passion, but it's more about becoming good at it. So that's how you build the talent from the passion. Now, the next thing you'll see in this formula is we're going to multiply something now. And what we're going to multiply is association. And you would have heard this in my own case study, and you heard this in the stories that Lauren and I have been sharing today. Who are you hanging around? Who are the people we are associating with? So when we think about our passion and our talent, association, we're going to multiply. We're going to put in 2 cups of association, because you can have all the passion in the world and you can have all the talent in the world. But depending on who we're hanging around, think about those warm relationships, who we're hanging around makes a difference. And I know you know what I'm talking about. We can hang around people that say, oh, why are you interested in that? That's silly. Oh, why would you be passionate about that? Why are you reading that book? Why are you going to that concert? Why are you working there? Why are you doing that? Like, right? So we can hang around that. And what happens to our passion and our talents? We're tired. It's exhausting. We don't want to hang around those people anymore. They're just poo-pooing everything that we want to pick up and do. But when we hang around those people that embrace who we are, that authentic self, good on you, Marina, for having a go. Good on you, Stephanie, for doing this. I love that you're doing that, Lauren. Even though we may know nothing about it, hanging around those people, having those people, our supporters, we'll call them, our cheerleaders, that can hang around us and be our champion. So association, 2 cups of that. Who are you hanging around? It's so important. It can be difficult. It can be very difficult to change who you're hanging around. I understand when it comes, people say, oh, but I can't change my family. It can be very difficult around those types of things. But definitely in the workplace, around your passion and talents, connect and build those relationships with your leaders, around those people in your team. Now, the other one we're going to do 2 cups of while we get the formula back on the screen for you. The other one we're going to do, it's jumping around. The 2 cups, we're going to, the 2 cups of action. That is the other A. It's the action. So we've got passion plus talent. We're going to multiply association, who we're hanging around. And now we're going to multiply action, because without action, everything is just really a wish and a dream. We're passionate about this. We've got talent for this. We're hanging around the right people, but we're just going to sit here and do nothing. We'll just sit here and hope something happens, hope something changes. Is someone going to come along? Like Lauren said earlier on, is the life buoy coming? Is someone coming to rescue me? No. To be fulfilled, we need to put in action. We need to step into it. We need to go and have that conversation. We need to go and buy that thing or do that thing or put us through that course or whatever it might be. The action might be, I've noticed you do this thing really well. It's something I would love to develop. Could we hang out? Could I come and watch you present? Could I come into one of your team meetings? Could you mentor me? Like, where is that action and what are we holding back on to take action? And action doesn't have to be big, like I just mentioned. A lot of the things I just mentioned don't require budget, don't require money, don't require anything. It's usually a conversation. And this is why relationships are so important. Get together and network with those people in your organization and take action with them. Take your passion. That's something you have to do, though, is know your passion. And if you are a leader of a team, look around and help others tap into their passion. Take time to sit in their one-on-ones or team members and each other share your passion. And you watch the relationships start to build, because we're starting to give an insight into each other. I never knew you were passionate about that. I never knew you could play the keyboard or whatever it might be. I never knew you could do that. You watch the action and the conversations afterwards where people start to come to life. We start to wake up wellness because we start to wake up people in our workplaces. It's a very cool thing. And the last thing in the formula, we're going to add a cup of this, and the F stands for faith. The belief, the self-belief that you can do this. No matter who you are, no matter the thoughts you're having about yourself, no matter, even if you're like me and you've gone through a really terrible time in your life where you were down in the dark and you thought, how am I ever going to get up from this? How will I ever get up from this? You can. And it comes down to knowing yourself, the relationship you have with yourself, finding what you're passionate about, get around good people, get around great people, take some action, and add a cup of faith, faith in yourself, self-belief, trusting in yourself. And you will know when you're hanging around, associating with the right people, because you will see your own faith, your own self-trust, your own self-belief. They will nurture it with you. They will nurture it with you. And if you think of my personal story of being this up high, queen of culture, winning awards, amazing, amazing, crash down into a heap. And now, just last weekend, I can come back, write a book, reinvent myself, work with beautiful people, associate with beautiful people like Lauren, run a business, come back healthier than before. Because what I've changed is the things in the fulfillment formula. I got them out of whack. I was adding too much cups of this and not enough of that. And one I didn't add enough of was the faith. Actually, I probably didn't even add a cup in the recipe. The cake came out flat. But when we start to up that.
I was just going to add them, Marina. Is that still vibrating?
No, you're actually better now. This is great. Go for it.
Faith. And faith comes back to your soul and your spirit. And observing Marina in her story that she shared today has been rediscovering the soul and the spirit that is within to effectively have the passion, the talent that is shining through. By association, we've collaborated, but it's also in faith. It's about that belief that she talked about, and bringing this back to your work. What are you passionate about in your work? Are you being fulfilled in your work? What are you talented in? Is the role that you're in satisfying what you are actually skilled in? And if not, there is ways of, we can always develop skill. It's through our faith and our belief and our talents that that brings this together. It's also around that, having faith in who you hang around, and knowing that when you hang around certain people, as they say, the top 5 people you hang around is who you are becoming. So are you up leveling that in who you're associating with, who you're networking with? Are you networking with people who are growing you? We are, as we say, that uncertainty is that it's a precursor to growing. So it is normal to feel those feelings of uncertainty, of scared, to feel, oh, am I on the right pathway here? There is no right pathway. It is learning as we're going, but having this belief that and taking action to get you to the end result that you are after. If you're wanting to feel emotionally fit and emotionally connected in your role, it's through these relationships of the me, the we, and the us to be fulfilled, focused, and have fun. So yes, having faith is the big dose. It's like the 3 or 4 or 5 cups to the cake, because if you lose that, then you are losing what, our it's living from your head always, and not from also associating and connecting to what is good for your heart and soul. And you can't be always in heart and soul in work. We know that it's a balance of fulfilled, having focus, and the whole collective ask of building a healthy workplace culture to improve your health. So this formula, the fulfillment formula that we've shared with you today, think, where are your passions? Where are your talents? Who are you associating with? What actions are you taking to get you, and having faith and belief in getting you to the direction of what satisfies you in your work? So it is all of those things coming together.
Stephanie, we might pause there and see if there's any questions
Yeah.
that you would like us to answer.
Yeah, so thank you to Marina Corbett and Lauren Taylor for your
I'm not sure if we have lost Stephanie, or is it
Yes,
me?
I think it might be
webinar today. And to the audience as well. So if you do have any questions for our presenters, please use the questions window to type and submit those questions.
While we wait for that, I thought just so if you do want to keep connected with us, as hopefully you've seen that we've been able to navigate some uncertainty, and we do thank you for your patience with the sound issues, but stay connected with us. We would love to keep a relationship, build a relationship with us. Lauren and I, you can find us both, Lauren Taylor and Marina Corbett, on our socials. We're both on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all of them. So if you do want to connect to us, send us a DM. We are fine with that. And we've also popped down there our email addresses as well. So if there's something that sparked something in you today that you would like to discuss further, you can keep connected. We're great with that. We love relationships.
And we know that WorkSafe TAVs have sent our details to you, or have that in the brief for today. So we still, we also have the support@emotionallyfithumans.com.au email. But as we say, Marina and I have our own separate businesses that we collaborate together in as well. So that's where we thought it was important that you connect with each of us, and the collaboration. So, what have you got questions for us today, Stephanie?
Yes, a question has just come through. So how do you deal with external pressures that are out of your control?
Mm-hmm.
Great question. And often, I mean, finding the answer to that is something that, you know, we can only control what is within our control. And being an emotionally fit human, knowing that we often, if there are external pressures, it might be going to the source, it might be actually having the difficult conversation, it might be getting curious. Curiosity is one of the best things that you can frame any problem with. It, you know, it could be around going and asking a question around what the external pressure is. How do you see these? I'm thinking these 3 different solutions. What is the best pathway to solve this problem? Without knowing the context, it's quite a difficult one to answer. We can't always succumb to external pressures. It's knowing where our boundary is and where what is within our control. And as I said, getting curious around what are questions that you could be asking of those external pressures to get to the best result.
Something I'd love to add is, in my experience, is sometimes I created that external pressure with the stories in my head. So sometimes because I didn't have a conversation, maybe I didn't have a relationship with someone I could have a conversation, I made the thing bigger because of the stories in my head. Where if I had had the conversation, just asked or said, I can't do this, there's no time to do this, you're asking me to do something that I actually can't, like Superwoman cannot deliver this. And she's fictional for a reason, right? So you're asking me to do something. So if it's in relation to that, sometimes the stories I created, oh, if I say this, this is going to happen. And if I do this, this is going to, I'm sure you can all relate, we're human, right? But I would create big, big things. And when finally I went and had the conversation, they'd say, oh, no, I didn't mean that. Oh, I didn't realize you had all that work on. Or, oh, I didn't realize you were looking after all those people and you're doing this and someone's asked you to do this. And I think, Marina, why didn't you have that conversation earlier? So sometimes while it's something we can't control, the way we relate to it in our thoughts, we can control. And I would absolutely 100%, if there's anything I can recommend, is go and have a conversation sooner rather than later. And it's okay. It's okay to say, I don't know, I can't do this. And
I
that's
love
where
that,
the
Marina.
comes in. Yeah, I'm very experienced at it.
Yeah, and the meaning that we're putting on the thoughts is quite often made up. Like it's taking it back to that island of, here we are, we're feeling isolated and there's a shark out there, or there's some other fear that we're making it mean something that it's probably not even reality or fact. So yeah, it is.
Not to say though, we're not taking away from that there are some external things that you just can't, and you have to say that I can't control that, whether it's someone else's attitude, their way they think about something, we can't change that. We can't change people's thoughts or beliefs. The only thing we can change is ourselves, but sometimes it's checking in with our own thoughts and beliefs, and are they, aligned? Is there anything
Any other
else?
questions, Stephanie?
Thanks. Yeah, so how do you encourage others to open up about their strengths, passions, talents, etc., in a workforce that may be or are resistant to creating an open team platform?
Nice. Oh, many ways to slice this one. Sometimes for me, I used to work, and I say this with love, but I used to work with a lot of the technical compliance type of industries, teams, engineers, accountants, IT professionals, and I am not trained in any of those, but I've led those teams. And so someone sitting in, the creative more side, the human side, sometimes all it would be is a conversation. Sometimes I found it came better as a one-on-one conversation. Tell me what you're interested in. What did you do on the weekend? And find a way. It's like, you'll get just one sniff or one lead and find your way in a conversation, build a relationship with them. Sometimes people look like they're not interested when desperately they just want to be seen. Sometimes we build a facade to protect ourselves in workplaces, that I can't be human, I can't show emotion, and that's what we're here to change and break. That if we're going to be well in our workplaces, we have to be human, and being human is feeling. It's in your heart, it's not always in your head. We need to integrate both, as Lauren was saying before. And sometimes we live too much in our heads, and it gives off the vibration or the sense, oh, this person doesn't want to do anything human at work. They're all very technical and professional. I've been there and it's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. And sometimes I would walk in and just say, good morning, everyone. And I would get no answer, nothing. But I kept doing it. I thought, I know there's a human in there. You're exactly like me. We are all the same on the inside. We've all heard this. They're just maybe not used to it, or they don't feel that they can do it, or it's unsafe to do it. So building trust, it just comes back to, it will always for me come back to the relationship, and start small. If that's a team thing happening or a culture thing happening, start small, start with one-on-ones, because I've gone into teams to have to lead change, and some felt nasty type of change, and quite toxic. And I could come in and go, right, we're doing this thing, everyone's changing, you're all going to do this thing. Never works. It always works when you just build one-on-one relationships, get to know them, get to really know them, have a coffee with them, build trust, and then watch it happen. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. But building trust.
I totally reiterate what you're saying, Marina, that this brings it back to that formula of knowing the person. Even your CEO is a human, your key leader, and quite often they're the person feeling isolated. Whereas we know even in friendships, a problem shared is a problem halved. It's no different in the workplace. And so breaking down the hierarchy, knowing that the leader is a part of the team, they're not separate from the team, they actually are a part of the team, even though they might be the guiding light, or and they're the conduit between external company pressures or whatever. They are still human, and we are wired for connection, so they need this connection. So have the conversation, around the trust. It's also that next level of the healthy level of conflict, knowing that you can handle the difficult conversation, you can hold the space, you can see the emotion, you can feel the emotion, you can go through the emotion. Emotions keep coming like waves in the ocean, and it's knowing which ones we need to dive into, which ones we let go, and which ones we need to surf and ride the emotion out and be with that person. So,
and it's okay as well, like depending, while there might be some people that don't want to bring too much of that emotion to work or themselves to work, some of that's okay. Like not everyone's the same. And I think as well, some people are in my team, even though we had, you know, a high performing award-winning team, not everyone wanted to come out to dinner after work or grab a drink, but they were still a part of that team, and we were still tapping into their passion and talent. So it's not like with relationships, we all have to hang out and we all have to do things after work or whatever it is. As long as everyone's tapping into their passion and talent and they know they belong, that's when you're going to start. You focus on that, you will hit something in their heart. It will open them up. Wow, I'm being seen. Wow, this leader sees me. This person sees me. They're asking me for help. You will crack them open in no time. So start with that one-on-one, start small, and not expect, that everyone, again, that's another scale of how involved people get, but not everyone will want to join in everything, and that's okay. It doesn't mean they don't want to be there either. And checking in with our thoughts, because sometimes we can assume as well, they don't want to be human at work. They don't want to share emotions because of what they're given off. But sometimes you can ask them. I actually asked a team member one day, do you actually like working here? And they were almost horrified. Of course I do. I love this place. I've been here for years. I love this place. And I said, I don't know. Sometimes you just give off the vibe you hate it. Like you complain about this, you complain about that, you complain about this. So tell me, what do you love? And once he started to tell me what he loves and why he's worked there so long, we had a different relationship from then on in. But it took the courage for me to say, do you actually like working here?
Crack into that little egg, the outer shell.
Yeah. So be that person. Be the person that takes interest in others and ask them. Ask them. You can't control their response, but you can be an advocate for change and wake up wellness in our workplaces for sure.
Where there is negativity in the workplace, or negative individuals, or a negative working environment, how would one deal with that?
This, I love, it comes into our fun pillar. And with the work that Marina and I do, it's all around setting up their workplace environment, first of all, on, okay, where are we headed as a culture? But more importantly, what are the attitudes, beliefs, and standards and expectations that we hold of each other? And so really peeling back the onion of your company and your workplace culture, going, what matters most here? What matters most is that people are cared for, people are well. People, we desire productivity and results, but if people aren't well, they're not going to perform at their best. So really establishing the key elements of attitudes, beliefs, standards, and expectations. Yes, we want to know our vision, our mission, our values, really living and aligned with our values. But what does if we have the word integrity on the wall, what does that actually mean? How do we live that out? How do we walk that each day? If we've got the value of respect, what does that look like? What attitude do we need to hold? I've got a can-do attitude. I've got a caring attitude. I've got a commitment and discipline to completion of goals attitude. Whatever that is, but really breaking down each value and what it looks like, what we want to see and hear. How do people want to feel in their heart when they come to work, when we're living out integrity? What do they want to feel if we're being accountable and responsible for ourselves and others? How do we keep that? So really delving deep into our environment of our work, of the whole workplace culture, and then keeping each other accountable to that. We no longer tolerate loud voices around here. We live by caring and kindness. We hear each other out right to the end. It's getting it right down to the core elements of the environment, not going, we have respect, integrity, accountability, results driven. What does that mean? How do we live that? How do we walk the talk through care?
I love that, Lauren. And just to add, so there is that setting from the high, the business strategy, that has to be set as the culture, the environment. But the hard thing, where the rubber hits the road and where you're going to get results, is when leaders address it when it's not happening, and leaders address it when it is happening. So if as a leader in that organization, sometimes I've seen this and I've done it myself, where you try and fix it from a global thing. Some people around here are doing this thing. Like it's this global announcement. The people that are usually being it or being toxic or gossip or whatever's going on in your workplace, they ain't listening to it. It's the people that are generally doing the great stuff that are going, oh my God, was that me? The best way to do this is through your relationships that you have with your people. And sometimes it's having that tough conversation like, do you actually like working here? Because the way you speak about this place, it's not very nice. What? Or the way I just heard, I had to do this a lot of times, the way you just spoke to that customer, that is not the standard I expect around here. We need to work on that. The way you just spoke to your colleague in that meeting, we don't do that around here. Let's talk about how you could do that differently. Let me know what's going on for you. The way you reacted, is something happening for you? Because that's not usual, or maybe it is usual, but we've got to start nipping this in the bud, because our great people who are our advocates for culture, who are the ones who are championing your customers, getting you the results, the ones that are doing the great things, they're watching this be walked past and they're leaving because they're not going to sit and tolerate it anymore. Once you allow a little bit of toxicity into your workplace, it's like cancer in the body. It grows. It grows. And I know it's uncomfortable. It's the uncertainty, right? I'm going to have I've felt it so many times. You're bringing up the emotion for me. I have felt it so many times. Oh my gosh, that person's in my team. I'm the leader. I'm going to go and have to say that thing because everyone's watching me. Like, Marina, you're the leader. You need to say it. You set the standards. You set the expectations. You said this. As leaders, go over and address it. Go over and address it. I always do it with respect and kindness and curiosity. Is something happening for you today? I noticed the way you just reacted to the customer or reacted to your team member. Or I heard you gossiping in the kitchen, or I heard you on Zoom say this thing, or I saw the comment you put in the chat. You know, something's happening here because I can't tolerate that in the team. But if something's going on for you, I really want to help you. And as soon as we bring attention to it, the person, like me, if someone said that to me, I'd be sitting there going, whoa, I've been noticed. I've been seen. There's
keeping
help.
people to each other accountable for that as well in your team, having that culture of care, that caring. You know, often people say they develop a feedback culture, and feedback is not always wrapped in a little present and pretty. Feedback, shortening the feedback loop is key of, you know, keeping each other accountable. So yeah, I love that.
Great questions. Great questions.
Your tips for someone who's struggling to navigate workplace rules or rules set by staff and peers in the workplace?
So this one, I would say, is that macro level, and exactly what Marina was saying. It's, you know, we've got a macro level of having things on the wall and agreed ways of being, but it's delving at the ground level of behaviours, even within your team, keeping each other accountable within your own team, within keeping yourself accountable. Do you have those values there? Do you know what they mean? Do you know how to live them out? Are you being culturally positive? Are you culturally neutral, where you're just sitting on the fence? Or are you one of the ones who will be culturally negative? So really at the ground level, being all you can be to be accountable to yourself and to others.
Now, if they're like we have values, and then we also might have rules or processes and procedures that people don't like to follow. I'm not sure if that was in the question as well. But what that comes down to as well is some people love rules and some people don't. And this is what Lauren and I will find when we study human behavior. Some of you might be familiar with eDisc and looking at energy styles. Those that love rules will sit on our SC energies, and they love them. They can't work without rules. And then you'll have other people like our DI energies who, like, I don't want a rule. Let me just fly free. I want to just create. I just want to. So it can be very irritating, is the word, when you're in a team of people that are a mix of energies. We need a mix of energies, though, to be a great team and tap into that passion and talent, to do everything that is required in a team. You need those people who are stickler for rules and those who want to create a great culture, those that want to go out and socialize. We need them all, but it's understanding each other. I can see why they're not following the rule. It's not because they don't want to. It's probably because they feel suffocated by rules. And I don't know the exact scenario, so I'm kind of just generalizing here, and what's worked for me in the past. So as someone who's, been responsible, particularly around safety, like, we have rules to protect each other. A couple of things I would do is check in and make sure the rule is still valid. Because sometimes in our thoughts, our beliefs, we're holding on to rules. Is the rule really protecting us, or is the rule really getting outcomes? And maybe this person has a point. So sometimes that can be hard to swallow as well, as maybe they're not following the rule because the rule's actually not valid anymore. Maybe we can create a different rule. But if the rule needs to be followed, like they're put in there to keep us safe, it's relationship. It's a conversation. I've noticed that every time this happens, you don't want to follow the rule. Can we just talk about what's happening? Because when we don't follow that rule, it could hurt someone, or there's a consequence to it. It has to come back down. And I know that it can feel like, but I've got no time for this. We make time for these things. We have to. These are the priorities, particularly as leaders or owners of these rules, is to sit down and understand. They might actually give you a gem in understanding why they're not, or why they keep refusing rules. You may find out something that gives you a greater outcome. Oh, gosh, I didn't even know that was happening. It's like when you write the rule, but you're not the person delivering the work. The people delivering the work sometimes have the best answers because they actually have to do it. And you might be able to create.
I was going to say, a great question to ask is, if everyone in this team or in this company was to do the particular thing that person is doing, would that be okay? Where would we get if everyone did not follow that rule? So what is a way of working with this that we can make it work for everyone around here? So.
All right, thank you.
It's difficult
with no
answering
further
when
questions.
you don't know the context.
You've done well. No further questions have come through, Marina and Lauren, so I'll begin to wrap up today's webinar. So thank you to our presenters, Marina Corbett and Lauren Taylor from Emotionally Fit Humans, for your WorkSafe Tasmania Month webinar, When Going to Work Improves Your Health, How Teams Can Boost Wellbeing and Performance. Today's webinar has been recorded and will be made available on WorkSafe Tasmania's YouTube page at the end of October. To find out what else is happening during the month of October for WorkSafe Tasmania Month, please head to worksafe.tas.gov.au to see what other online and in-person events we are running. Thank you again to our presenters, and thank you, of course, to our attendees.
Thank you for having us. Thanks.